Hi friends, Renee Keys here with Carolina Creative. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here with card making ideas for you. Today I'm going to play with this brand new embossing folder. I just got this week. I started playing with it yesterday and I am in love with this. It's a sunflower 3D embossing folder and it really is 3D. You're not going to believe the dimension that you get when you use this. So let me pull, and it's big. Can you see how big this is? It's a 6 by 8.5. So the 6 inches still fits right into the Stampin', cutting, and embossing machine. That's no problem at all, but it's just incredible the types of images you can get with this. So you can see I could actually run, 2 pieces of 4 by 5 1/4 through here if I wanted to, but I'm just going to go ahead and put this on the lower end. I really like the 2 big sunflowers here. So let me flip the camera down. Here's my work area and I've got my machine ready to go. It does require the gray plate, and then this should just run right through if I don't have it sitting on top of a tape runner. There we go. So crank this right through to the other side, and in a second you're going to see what we got here. Let me get that out of my way for now. All right, so here's the folder. There we go. And here is the embossed image. Now you have an embossed side where it's pushed up and you have a debossed side. I'll come back to this in a minute. What I'm going to do, I was playing with colors trying to decide what I wanted to do. So I've got Daffodil Delight, that's my pretty yellow. This is the copper clay. And so I've decided I'm going to take copper clay ink. So I'm sticking with just these 2 ink colors today. Trying to keep this simple, but I'm going to move this out of the way. This gets kind of messy. So what I'm going to do is ink up my roller here, and I'm going to just put this right over the top. Now you could do this with a brush, you could dab on with a sponge dauber. There's lots of different ways to apply ink just to this upper surface. But you see what I've got going on here. I'm just going to lightly roll this, and I'm going to re-ink. Now can you see why I put paper under here? Because the ink goes everywhere. I just wanted to ink what's raised. And I think that's all I need to do. And I'm going to set this on its little feet because otherwise it'll get ink everywhere. So that part is done. I'm going to, I pulled out an old sentiment from a retired set, but this just seemed to be the right stamp to go with this. It says, "Today blooms just for you." Okay. So I'm stamping that in yellow, or on the yellow, but again, I'm using my copper clay. These are the only 2 colors I'm going to use today. I didn't grab anything. I didn't know what I was going to put on the inside yet. It might say happy birthday. It might say best wishes. In fact, I've got best wishes sitting right here. That's what I'm going to do. Let me grab, I always keep, this is one of my secret tips and tricks. I always keep pieces pre-cut to fit the inside of a card. So that's 4 inches by 5 1/4. I've got a whole stack of these. I'll keep a dozen or more sitting there just ready to go anytime I need one. So all I have to do is reach back there and grab it. So I'm going to put best wishes, and that way it doesn't have to be a birthday. It can be absolutely anything. And I just decided not to stamp it in yellow because I liked it better in the contrasting color. How's that look? Okay, so let me, I was struggling with how many layers to make this card. I usually aim for at least 3 because I like the weight of having multiple layers in a card. You know how you get the feel of it when you've got it all put together. But this card's really only going to have 2, and then I'm going to put this across the top. I guess that could count as a 3rd layer. But there's so much going on here. I just didn't want to get too busy. So I need to trim this just a little bit. I stuck with a 4 by 5 1/4, so I really need to trim it another 1/4 of an inch on 2 sides so that my frame, my mat underneath it will show. Yes, indeed. So I'm going to zip a little bit off of there. And that didn't want to cut very well. That wasn't, well, it is cut. Yeah, it just needed to be pulled. And then I'm going to, go to 5 inches here. So now it's 5 by 3 3/4. And now what you're going to see is now when I put this on top of the copper clay, it will be framed, it will be matted. Whew, that is so pretty. So the other thing, this might be too wide as well. I just grabbed a strip I had here, so I'm just going to trim a smidge off of each side and make this narrower. And I'm really going to take a little bit off this edge. I just didn't like, it looks a little too chunky to me. It has it's a pretty font. I like the cursive, but it just, it was a little bit too big. Perfect. Quick and easy trim. And now I have to decide if I want to put this all the way over to the side, one side or the other. I'll get to that in a minute. So I've already glued the inside. Next, I'm going to do this part, and because of the embossing, I'm going to go ahead and use my Stampin' Seal because this has so much texture. And of course, I have my finger in the Stampin' Seal. Let's get enough to hold this down. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this down and get a little bit of that copper to frame it on all sides. And then this is right here handy, so I'll keep going like that. All right, and that's just glue, so that would have been fine hidden under there. So now I've got a yellow frame on all sides too, really making those colors pop. Now, I am feeling like this is a little bit too big, so I'm going to trim this end. Got a little fuzzy right there. And I think I'm going to make it run straight from that edge over, just like that. Just a very simple, I didn't get anything on there, very simple. I could have used dimensionals too. I could have made that pop off. I'm kind of putting it right in between those two big sunflowers. And I did tie a bow. So I've got a pretty little yellow ribbon. It coordinates with everything else. And so I'm going to grab a glue dot for that right here. Put that dot right behind the knot and put that on there. This one tail's a little bit long, so I'm going to give that a snip. Whoa, it didn't want to stick. I don't think it transferred. It didn't. Thought I grabbed it, but it didn't transfer to the ribbon. Okay, so here's the card. Now let me tell you, this was running ink over the upper side. So this is where it's pushed up. The other thing I did yesterday, I was playing with this. I flipped it over. So this is what we call the debossed side. I'm showing you, this is the raised side. This is the debossed side. Could have done it with the roller, that brayer again, but I literally took the black ink pad and I just rubbed it across, wiped it right across, and it gets that it's almost like the negative. So this is going to become another card. I'm going to mat this on the black with my daffodil. See this? And then I just, I stamped a just for you. And I will probably put, well, I was thinking happy birthday, but I put best wishes inside this one too. So it's a good generic. So let me show you how different the images look. One is on top, one is on the underside, the debossed side, but it gives you an idea of what you can do with this. Now, I played, the other thing I've been playing, I told you, I used embossing powder on this. So I actually took my Versamark and rubbed it over the top of the black, and then I used gold. Can you see? I put a little bit of Winkostella on there too. So there's another idea. I'm having so much fun playing with this. I did the black on copper on top of wild wheat, and so that gives you, again, a very different vibe. This says hello, and I just said I thought of you today on the inside, so keeping it basic. But I've already seen lots of things on Pinterest too where they're using a variety of colors. I was sticking to, some of the tried and true, the yellows and the golden colors, but look at the difference in these cards. They're just striking. So thanks for joining me today. I'm having fun playing with this new embossing folder. If you like the products and the projects you're seeing here, you can find me at Carolina Creative or hashtag Carolina Creative. And I am on the Stampin' Up! Network. It's Renee Keese at stampinup.net. Stay tuned for the next video. Appreciate you.